So that's good for the Trillion Ring. I'm not going to change the sector map or anything until they get back to me about Intaglio, which sounds like a great place to be. We'll take care of that in the interim. All right, so more faction turns, more turns. Prism Network. So the Prism Network is our next faction up on the docket, and it looks like the Prism Network is going to use their asset ability. So let's start processing that. Okay. Excuse me. So use asset ability. First, let's give them their money. So they start with Prism. They start with 6. They gain another 6, which puts them at 12. And then we're gonna go and we're gonna use their abilities. So on Hakani, the intention is to activate their monopolies against Fornax. Taking away Fornax's money. So Prism, where are you? I guess I could just do Hakani because we need to know who's there. That's the check I'm doing. So on Hakani, which used to be a very popular place to hang out. Yes, the Fornax Strike Fleet. The Fornax Strike Fleet is still there, so they can go ahead and monopolize them. So each monopoly, I believe, drains 1 credit. Let me make sure how that works. Force one a faction to pay them 1 fat cred. So Fornax loses 2 credits and Prism gains 2. Okay, and Prism goes up to 14, right? Okay, and then they're gonna spend some of their credits, and I'm just gonna take it now. They spend 3 credits to move some shit around. So, all right, so the Prism Network, you're good. Let's get you up on the board. All right, so they're going to move monopolies and shipping combines. Oh, the Demnoff party. Demnoff party is just getting bigger and bigger. Okay, here we go. So, 2 monopolies and a shipping combine from Hakani to Demnoff. Okay, all right. So Hakani, monopoly to Demnoff, and monopoly Hakani to Demnoff, and shipping combine also Demnoff. Okay, I think that is good. Monopoly, shipping combine from Hakani to Demnoff. And yeah, experience points. So so these fine fellows at the Prism Network, they have completed Peaceable Kingdom. They spent 4 turns not attacking anybody, and they get themselves normally 1 experience, but Exchange Consultant, whenever they do Peaceable Kingdom, they roll a d6 and they can get a bonus XP. So let's roll for them. Let's roll. Come on, big 6. That's a 3. That's not a 6. God damn it. All right. Sorry. RNGesus does not want your extra experience point for you, Prism Network. And then cue somebody in chat saying experience points don't matter, and then cue everybody else talking shit about that. Has anybody spent experience? No, not yet, but we're going to talk about experience points at the end of this. There is going to be a potential way for people to get some big chunks of XP. We'll talk about that in a hot minute. So, okay. So thank you, Prism Network, for your Peaceable Kingdom. Do not forget to give me your new goal at the beginning of your next turn. Okay. The Velen Ascendancy. The Velen Ascendancy, who yet live. Velen Ascendancy, let's give them their cash. So 3 hit points. Clinging on. They're holding on, Vela. So they're gonna get their fat creds. They get 5, which brings them up to 8. But I'm gonna just take out that 8 right now because they're buying something. So they would like to purchase. They're gonna take the buy action. Okay, wait. Buy action, and then they're going to purchase a monopoly on Hakani. Okay, good. So let's give that to them. I don't know why this is faction. There we go. Okay. The Velen Ascendancy. And they have a monopoly Hakani. All right. Cool, cool. Is there any way for Vela to regain HP? Yep. Yeah, Vela has a bunch of options right now because they are like on the knife's edge, right? The ascendancy could merge with another faction. The ascendancy could, if they wanted to, if they were not interested in like fighting anymore, right? They could come to me and say, okay, well, our members are going to join other factions and we are going to, we're going to like, basically twilight the faction, right? They could choose to say the Velen Ascendancy becomes like a background NPC faction instead, just on Hakani. Essentially like the way that like the government planet, the government of some of the planets in the system exist. But they can keep fighting and they can fight on and they can die. That's valid too. They have lots of options from here. And the fiction will go along with that. And we've talked a little bit, and I guess I want to make sure I'm finished with their turn. Yeah, I am. So we've talked a little bit about how like what would happen if a whole faction died, right? And if there was any confusion about like whether they would get to like kind of write their own ending. Yes, 100%. Like if a faction dies, I would spend the next month, like between the faction turns, putting together like a kind of epilogue for them, whatever that would look like. And we could work together, me and their reps and their lore folks. And I don't know, maybe we do like a stream about it or whatever. Yeah, no, I've definitely talked about it on stream before, Velcry. I'm sorry if you missed it, but yeah, there would be an epilogue, whether you die of violence or if you, set to, I will remember you, or whether you die to like whatever merging. Yeah, we would work together to build the lore on that and play that out. And this goes for any faction. Because yeah, I would want to like highlight all the cool stuff that they built and figure out like what is the last chapter of that faction, whether they die a lot or not. But yeah, the stepping out as an NPC thing, yeah, we haven't really talked about that before as an option, but yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. It's like a character retirement, right? Where you're like, we just don't have any will to fight anymore and become NPCs. But it might mean that like another faction comes and like takes over your planet. But yeah, but it's another way to kind of do that. You become a protectorate of another faction or whatever. Okay. All right. So that is the Velen Ascendancy. Still glittering in the dark. House Crux, our big purple boys. House Crux is going to, they're going to get some FAC creds. I guess I should give the purple bear their money. So they are at 10. Okay. They are also going to buy an asset. So buy action. And they're going to buy saboteurs. Okay. All right. So on Hyra, and that cost them 5 faction credits. Thank you for the nice simple turn, House Crux. Let me give you your saboteurs. House Crux. Saboteurs on Hyra. There it is. Okay. Good. 2 small turns. 2 lovely little small turns. Thank you. We can't all be the fucking high church. All right. So, I think the CHR has given me, so CHR is up next. They're going to be doing something and they've given me a somewhat like, I don't know, a somewhat preemptive statement. I'll read the first part of the statement. But I'm gonna leave off their last sentence because I think maybe it's not, it wouldn't make sense. If they would like, if their rep is around, would they still want me to read that last part? I will, but I'm gonna read the first bit because I just don't think that it would make sense otherwise. Okay, all right. So the CHR, they're going to have to begin. We haven't done this yet, so actually, let me get my rulings document. Starts that number, rules and rulings. Yeah, hit me up on Discord. If you are the faction rep, I believe. Mad Sheep. Oh, here we go. Okay. I've got it. Excuse me. I've got it. I've got your announcement from 3 a.m. So, so yeah, I think it's fine. But anyway, let me know. Yeah. Okay. So you want me to leave it out? Okay. Thanks. The fictional stuff, I'm fine like juggling things and letting people kind of adjust their statements, because I don't want anybody to feel like silly for something that didn't happen or making a mistake like that in the fiction. If you make a mistake mechanically, like, too bad, but okay, all right. So anyway, we have to figure out how it works when you are done with a seizure. So the faction in question, the CHR, they are going to withdraw from their seized planet lockdown. They are retreating from Imperial Prime. So retreat was, and this is a mechanism that comes like straight from Kevin Crawford. So when undertaking a seized planet action, you're bound by the following. You have to keep fighting. Until you are either successful or all your own assets are destroyed or have left the planet. This can lock you in. To prevent it, you can remain engaged or choose to pull the troops out. So they are going to withdraw, which means an opposed force test between any of their assets that are on the planet versus the people that are attempting to stop them. So they are being they're being resisted by everyone that is on the planet. They're gonna take shots at them, and on a fail, the asset is destroyed. So let me look at what's. I think it's only one. I think there's only one asset, so chances are pretty good they just lose that. They lose that asset. So. Also, I just wanted to call out the CHR. If you haven't seen it yet, the CHR is doing some like really neat stuff with like internal dissonance about an NPC. If you haven't looked into their stuff on like what's her name, the Veiled Maiden, the Hooded Maiden, the Shrouded Maiden, one of those. She's got a hat on. The Hatted Maiden. I was flipping through it this morning. It's pretty cool. I want to dig into it deeper, but yeah, looking at it, I was like, interesting. This seems cool. We should go check out Kabina. It is the Shrouded Maiden. Okay, cool. Yeah, the Iron Maiden. But yeah, it is quite neat. She's a really cool figure. I like her. Right. Okay. So Church of Humanity Repentant. Yeah, they just have the one unit. So the opposing units are Vagrant, Crux, Vagrant and Crux. Okay. All right. So force versus force. So the CHR has a force of 3. Okay, so we're going to make 2 rolls. 3 versus and 3 versus. We're going to do Crux. So 3 versus 6. And what was the other one? Vagrant. 6 and 5. Okay. So if by some miracle, if the CHR succeeds on both of these rolls, then they get the demagogue gets away free. So first against Crux, we've got 12, and Crux gets. Can Crux catch the demagogue? They can. Okay. So what I would really, really love is if the CHR and House Crux got together and put together some fiction about like the arrest of the demagogue, right? Finish telling that story together, right? So now Crux is involved, and I'd love for the two factions to work out like, cool. So the demagogue, tried to escape or tried to leave or was like, whatever, sacrificed themselves. Maybe it was a big Tiananmen Square thing. I will leave it up to the two of you to kind of like work out together. And if you need my help, if you need like thoughts on anything, hit me up. Hit me up with questions. All right. All right. So let's record that in the turn. Yeah, because Crux, and it doesn't have to be Crux's asset that does it. It doesn't have to involve the tank. Okay. So that means that CHR demagogue attempts withdrawal from Prime. Crux opposes, and demagogue lost. All right. And then that kills the demagogue here. Okay, good. Okay, great. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe gets sent to Gleipnir. Who knows? This kills the demagogue. Viper. All right. So, as I said, the announcement from the CHR, or denouncement, depending on how you want to read it. Behold, the true nature of the empire. Behold, as those amongst the nobility who would dare treat their fellow man as more than disposable pawns themselves are disposed of, and the carrion dogs of the empire whose virtue is non-existent feast upon their betters. Damn. Venomous words. Venomous words from the Church of Humanity Repentant. CHR doing work, putting work in. All right, we have 2 more, my friends. 2 more assets to move, 2 more factions to juggle, and then we will be complete for today. And I'll read you your new rules stuff. So Acre gets 7 faction credits. So the Acre Corporation hosting a big party on their homeworld today. They go up to 9. They are going to take the action buy asset. It's going to buy asset. So we'll start there. So they're buying a transit web. They're buying their own transit web. Okay, so Acre transit web. And they're buying that on Demnoff. And that costs them 7 faction credits because they're sitting on a broker discount from ages ago, right? I think turn 4, yeah, brokerage discount that they generated back in turn 4. So they spend their credit there, and they're gonna take the buy action, and they're buying a transit web on Demnoff, and it costs them 7 faction credits because of discounts and stuff. Discounts and the like. Okay, so let's take their money away. Down to 2. Okay. Asset tracker. They got their transit web on Demnoff. That is good and done. And then they're going to activate their covert shipping on Hakani for 1 fac cred. Let me double check and make sure it's still here. It is not. So they cannot. There is no covert shipping on Hakani to activate. So it is toast. And then they will activate their covert shipping on Yakia for 1 fac cred. So the invalid order does not cost them anything, right? They're not going to lose it. It just means that the cost is also invalid. So they're down to 1. Or they're down to 2, I think, right? So what do they have? They had 9 and then 8. Hold on, now I gotta look at it. They started with 9, 7 down to 2. Yeah, they're at 1. Okay, I was right. 1 instead of, yeah. Okay. All right. So then they're gonna move their covert shipping, move the commodities broker from Orpheus to Dumnoff. Okay. Commodities broker from, where's Orpheus? There's not much on Orpheus now. Remember we were all scared that Orpheus was going to be like fucking Battleground Empire? There's a bunch of stuff on it, but nothing's happening. And this is the 5 HP commodities broker. Okay. All right. Demnoff. Heading home. Everybody's still got guns pointed at everybody else's head. Right? Like, they're just like, hey, we still have stuff on your planet. We could still go after you. I like it. I like the like, all the planets are full of everybody's shit. Okay, Acre. Okay, so you have a statement, and I love this. I would absolutely suggest everybody check this out further. So let me read Acre's statement. It's another commercial for you. Today, in spite of regrettable regulatory delays, Acre is proud to unveil the latest revolution in delivery, Project Tahiti, a logistics breakthrough which will deliver an unparalleled shipping capacity at unbeatable prices to our customers on Andofiel, Hyra, Maya, Diomikado, Trillia 9, and many other worlds. Can't wait? Don't worry, it's already been rolled out. Now, forever. To learn more about Tahiti, visit tahiti.acre.space. You should. you really should. Let me see. Let me see if I can play. It's like it's gorgeous. I'm just gonna show it to you real quick because it's too cool. Acre's got somebody on Acre's team is like a great graphic designer. And it's gorgeous. Yeah. Tahiti Logistics Infrastructure Program. Look at it. It's so good. Yeah, very, very pretty. So good work on this one. I like the green too. It's nice. That's right. Streamlined approval process. It's very Acre, you know. It's very, very Acre. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I'm proud of Acre for that. That's quite cool. Yeah, there's a few little bits and pieces like that CHR NPC I mentioned, and like Acre's work on this little initiative doc. When that stuff comes up, even stuff you don't necessarily see, like the High Church sends me an HTML version of their orders every turn with like mouse overs and stuff, and it's really cool seeing all of you using your other creative skills for your faction, like for the game, and making cool shit like that. It's great. It's so cool. Okay. All right. Thank you, Acre. You are complete. Your turn resolved. So that in mind, let us continue to our final faction. Down at the bottom here, slipping one place from 12 to 13, it is the Deathless. It is the Deathless. Sponsors of Bicky Tip. So Bicky's faction, they are going to take the Expend Influence action on Demnoff. So they're like, the Deathless are like the Predator, right? They go where the conflict is. So like they're like, hey, we're gonna open a base on Demnoff, but there's gonna be war on Demnoff. Oh yeah, I gotta give them more money. So hang on. 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53 faction credits. So many. And do they have a like a party machine or anything? I don't think so, right? The Deathless. They do not. They're not drowning in gold. Yep. Yep. But what's funny is that expand influence on Demnoff, and they're going to build a 1 HP base of influence, right? Like just spend a tiny bit. It's smart because you don't want to get Demnoffed to death here, but spend 1, and then they get a base of influence. Nobody is going to nobody is opposing this base. No, there's no opposition. I asked everybody who could oppose, and they're building this BOI. I guess there's, let me look at Demnoff. Since it's the end of the turn, if I missed asking somebody, I sent out a bunch of orders, but if I missed you and this is the end of the turn, we can do it between, like, we'll do it between turns. Cause I definitely made a point of asking, but also Demnoff moves stuff around. So if I missed it, then I would have, then we can just do it. But, I have confirmation from most of these factions. So let me know in between if you would like to oppose. For now, I'm going to give it to them. It's at the end. So let me know. Yeah. And I'll send it out. So, cause I sent it to everybody with a non-BOI, like asset, but I might've missed something cause there was a lot. So, okay. Anyway, this isn't, it's not technically an attack. It's like, it's a, like an oppose. So yeah. Anyway, okay. Let me make a note here to see if I missed anybody. But again, it's not going to matter. I'm not going to sit and wait for everybody's stuff. It's at the end, and we'll figure it out. Okay. So hang on. Let me post. Opposing the Deathless base on where is it? The Demnoff. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay, and I'll post that again in the FacRep channel. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, so they're gonna build that for now, and then if somebody decides to attack them, I'll let Deathless know, and I'll run it, and we'll do screenshots and stuff. So yeah, this is the trick. So this, as an aside, as a personal aside, I was away at a place with like kind of shoddy Wi-Fi, and I could only do faction stuff like at the end of the day, and I had been working for like 8 hours running role-playing games and stuff. So leading up to the faction turn, yeah, I had less stuff that I could do, and yeah, and less opportunity to do it. So yeah. So let's take a look. 1 HP BOI. It actually looks like you have a contest. Sorry. So we'll work that out. Give me a second here. I have a rep getting back to me already, Deathless. So this turn is gonna take a little longer. I will, however, give you your Thorg seizure. Okay, all right. So let's take a look at what happens if the BOI is contested, because Vagrant is going to contest. I don't know if anyone else is, but Vagrant definitely looks like they're going to. All right. So expand influence. Let's see. What does the action say? Here we go. The faction rolls a D10 cunning against similar rolls by every faction that is opposing on the planet. Anyone that equal or beat the faction roll can make a free immediate attack. All right, let's do a cunning v cunning for Deathless versus Vagrant. So Deathless, cunning is 3. Vagrant is 6. Okay, so cunning v cunning. Sorry, I missed you there, Vagrant. Plus, so attacker, I guess. So the +6 is, yeah, and you guys can work out why Vagrant opposed this base. And what that looks like. Yeah, okay, 6v3. Okay. All right, D10 plus 6, which is a 10. D10 plus 3, which is an 8. Okay, all right. So Vagrant successfully opposes. Okay. Vagrant opposes. Succeeds on opposition. And I don't know if I would want to piss off the Deathless. I don't know if I would want to do that. Okay, and then that means that if they succeed, attacks, let's see, they can make it's an attack roll, right? On the base. Let me double check. A free attack against that base if they wish. So we have to do a second roll, which means Vagrant, you are using... Yeah, Vagrant kick the Hornet's Nest. I mean, they've been pretty quiet so far. Vagrant, are you using a Demagogue or a Psychic Assassin? I'm glad Gwyn was here. Okay. Demagogue? All right. So let me make that check. So CVC 2d8. Interesting. I did not expect that there was going to be another attack at the end here. CVC 2d8. Okay. And then, yeah, it is possible for them to miss the attack. It's true. Yeah. CVC 2d8. No, nobody can block. It's an attack against the BOI. So it's an attack on like the installation as it's being built. Okay, CC 2d8, and it's Deathless at 3. Same roll. Vagrant at 6. So 6v3. Counterattack is 0 because it's a base of influence. Yeah. Okay. You can block with an asset. See, this is why we just need to hold off, right? Yeah, because the deathless can defend with their own asset. You know what, Vagrant, we're not going to do this right now. I will keep the result, but we need a defender, and the other factions could block for you, and like it's a whole thing. So let's put a pin in this. We'll resolve it between, but everything that's happened so far has happened. So I'm going to make a note. Vagrant opposes, succeeds in opposition, attacks with demagogue. And then needs defender. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we'll get it done. We'll get it done in between, because I want to give them a chance to have someone defend for it, and then we can continue on. So needs defender, resolve, post facto, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there is a battle. Sabers are being rattled. The demagogue has things to say about building something, and we'll see if Deathless like has someone to defend for them. We're gonna put this on a on a similar timer. So like, let's see, it is noon, so 12 p.m. Pacific on. This is cool and fun. It's 12 p.m. Pacific on February 1st. Let's say by 12 p.m. Pacific, February 2nd, I need all attackers. So that's a clarification for whoever else can attack. So clarify any attackers. And then 12 p.m. Pacific, February 3rd, clarify defenders. Process. And I'll just record it and post it somewhere so you can all see me. Yeah, post factor no. So you can just see me do it. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just do the thing. Cool. Okay. So right now we have a demagogue attack in. I mean, I assume that anybody who opposes is just gonna attack. Like, it doesn't make a big difference, but that is what we'll do. Okay. Sorry, Deathless. I love you. I'm sorry to make you hold a sneeze like this, but I owe you the results of this turn. So I owe you results of this turn. Okay, yeah. Sorry, y'all. So I'm gonna make a note here, and we'll just put this in yellow. Okay, and then I will copy this. Copy this over to my representatives council. So I'll do that, and then I'll read you my new rulings. We'll give you the new rulings for stuff. So, okay, so I need anyone who opposes, let me know in 24 hours. It's on Demnoff. Okay. Okay. Then I need defender by 12 p.m. Pacific on 3rd. Quick mini fact turn. There we go. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. And it is like a regular attack. They can block as normal, etc. Get in the way and do all that stuff. Okay. All right. So that is all except this little hiccup at the end. That's the rest of this faction turn. I'll post the video of resolving this in a couple of days. I'll just post it on YouTube, and I'll post that link in the announcements channel so you can catch up on my like end of turn thing. So let's talk about the rules patches for the rest of this next phase. So going into turn 9, so this was turn 8, January 2019. Going into turn 9, which will be the end of February or the beginning of March, turn 9. February. We're looking at getting a couple more members added to the guild in the next little bit, as you probably know. And then we've also got some rules patching to do. Yeah, that's a good point, Slate Quills. Definitely. Yeah, I'll add it in to the description so people can just finish the video. Yeah. Okay, all right. So here's the rules patch. We've got, I think, 3 major changes. Well, 2 minor changes and then a big ass change. These will make their way into the document, the rules and rulings document, which is of course the most up to date place for all your rulings needs. So, patch notes for the Verona faction turn, January of 2019. Traded assets. So any asset that is traded in between the faction turn is considered to have been recently purchased and undergoes a turn of inaction before it is reactivated for its new owners. So faction asset trades now have summoning sickness, basically. We're considering for a future patch extending out the deadline, or I guess reducing the amount of time you have to make trades. So that might be something that we're considering doing, right? Instead of saying whatever it is now, like 48 hours or 72 hours, like extending it out to a week. But we're working on that. I haven't decided how I feel about it. There's a social benefit, but there's also a mechanical problem. But yeah, Mechanism Council is going to work on that. No, it means it's so to clarify, the summoning sickness means it can't do anything according to the rules of a purchased asset. So like I'll read from the book if you want. So these assets take time to assemble and can neither attack, defend, nor grant their special benefits until the beginning of the faction's next turn. Okay? So they just can't do anything. They're locked for a turn. So if you trade an asset, it goes into lockdown until the next turn. We clarified the Seize Planet XP reward because it's a little whatever in the book. So it can, whatever it says, they can be moved around, but it's still there. Yeah, whatever it says in the book for a new asset. So anyway, so we've changed Seize Planet XP, so it's clarified now. It says take control of a planet, becoming the legitimate planetary government. If the planet had a ruling faction and that faction resisted seizure, the difficulty is equal to half that faction's force, cunning, and wealth rating. If the planet had no ruling faction resisting the seizure, difficulty equals 1. It was unclear before. This is hopefully clearer. It was kind of an edge case, but we wanted to clear it up. Okay, so this is a subset of rules about as big as the Seize Planet adjustments, and it concerns really only the Houses Minor, but will ostensibly be expanded out into a larger thing later on. So phase 1, this rule set is called a House Divided. This is rulings regarding the Houses Minor. So in the event that a single minor house wishes to leave the Council of the Houses Minor, or the council wishes to excise a house via order from their representative, the following rules apply. And we'll do a brief Q&A. And then we'll talk. So a house leaving becomes a new faction with a stat array of 4, 2, 2. So if a house goes off on their own, they become a new faction. They get to pick 1 stat with me that's 4, and then 2 stats that are 2, right? So I think we'll work it out, but I will have final approval on what the stat array is. Their homeworld of this new faction, the new faction's homeworld, is whatever the previously established Houses Minor homeworld for that house was. And they gain a base of influence on that world with HP equal to their new faction HP. They can choose 1 asset to add to that planet as theirs, right? In the same way you would buy an asset in the beginning. So they can pick a new asset and they get it on that planet. This new faction gains the planetary government tag for their homeworld. The Houses Minor faction, that faction must then reduce their stat line by the equivalent of 18 experience points, with any excess XP being banked as change. The Space Master will work with the faction, the house, and the Houses Minor to determine this change, with the Space Master having final say. The Houses Minor loses the new faction's homeworld as one of their own, but will retain a base of influence thereon if such a base already exists. They are no longer the planetary government of that planet. After the new stat lines have been established, the new faction may target one Houses Minor asset on their homeworld and roll a d10 plus the stat for the target's type. The Houses Minor would roll the same. The winner of that roll retains control of the asset. The Houses Minor may, if they wish, opt to cede this roll. Okay. So, in the case that a minor house has a ready and willing faction interested in adopting that faction, the following rules apply. The adopting faction gains 15 experience points. The Houses Minor loses 18 experience points from their stat line, with any excess XP being banked as change. They lose the new faction's homeworld as one of their own, but retain a base of influence thereon if such a base exists. A faction may only adopt a single house. Everyone who is currently a member of that house that is being adopted will be shifted to the Discord role of their new parent faction. This results in the destruction of the house as a fictional entity. They're essentially trading their continued existence as a discrete fictional unit for becoming part of their new faction. This may or may not mean giving up noble titles. The fictional stuff will be worked out in the usual way between me and the faction in question, but will definitely represent the end of the house as a unique and separate entity. Now, some people have asked me about if the inverse can be true, and I think that's fine. Like, if a house leaves the Houses Minor and is adopted by another faction, but that faction is like, no, we dissolve into you, and now House whatever, House Independia, is like they're their own thing. That's also a way to do this. So you can flip flop that, but somebody's got to go, right, in this process of adoption. Finally, if multiple houses wish to both leave the council and form a new faction coalition, they may do so. The following rules apply. If multiple houses form a coalition faction, that new faction is created using the rules above for leaving the Houses Minor, then gains 16 XP for each house that joins them. The new coalition retains homeworlds, governments, etc. as above. These rules may be invoked by any number of houses during the processing of a faction turn, and all of these rules take place after the last faction's order has been resolved. If there are multiple factions leaving, a random roll will determine their order. The decision to invoke these rules follows all the usual protocols for timing and must be submitted to the Space Master on the same timer as the usual faction turn rules. The new faction will be created and given the opportunity to submit orders on the following turn. The end. So, questions? I might not be able to answer all the mechanical stuff, but I am curious about if you have questions. How much, if any, of this applies in the case of the death of the Houses Minor? That is different. If the Houses Minor dies, I will have a different protocol for that. We'll work something out, but it'll be similar. Why the limit of only one adoptive house per other faction? Because I don't want one faction to be like, we adopt 4 houses and now we were already huge and now we're super huge. It's to limit the amount of, like, basically gaming it to get a pile of XP. Yeah. Right. So that's the thing. At what point does the STO become one faction? That's not on the table. We're not discussing that. Can multiple minors be vacuumed up by majors? No, you can adopt a single house. If a house leaves and then absorbs another faction, if they fictionally retain their nobility, yeah, sure. What was hidden on Gleipnir? I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm telling the Red Dogs in secret first. I gotta write it up for them. Can a minor house and another faction merge into a whole other faction? Well, yeah, that's what adoption is, right? It's like if House Serpens, for example, and the Deathless, like the Deathless adopted House Serpens, they might become the new House Serpens with like their own personal badass army, or they might become a psychic branch of the deathless who have given up their nobility, right? So we can figure that out. But treat this like an order. If the houses minor want to like boot one of the houses, or a house wants to leave, have the rep let me know. Do houses minor coalition factions get any assets? Yeah, as per above. So when they leave, they can each roll once, like on their home world, basically. Yeah. When does the adoption splitting happen? At the end. At the end of the faction turn. So we do all the faction turn orders. So if somebody today is like, House Pixis is leaving the houses minor, I would be like, cool, I'll make a note of that. We go all the way through. We'll go all the way through the thing, and then we do the thing. Yeah, if you adopt, you can't steal. Yeah. If a house gets adopted, yeah, yes. If they get adopted, they lose the home world but retain a base. What will be the process of one house being put into another's Discord role regarding creation, archival, deletion of channel? I mean, we'll archive it. And then it'll go away, right? Like that's that, and people can do their own archiving and stuff, and then the faction will go away. Does a house leaving the houses minor still get an emperor vote? Yes. Would a house retain their out-of-character and in-character channels? Yes, unless they get adopted, in which case those channels get thrown out eventually, right? These rules will be added to the ruling document. If a minor goes independent and then merges, yes, that the merge rules apply. Yeah. If a house adopts one, does that mean... Yeah. You can only adopt as they leave the houses minor, right? And then that's the only house you can adopt. Otherwise, the house would have to go indie and then merge with you. If Trill adopted Aquila, but Trill decided to be absorbed into Aquila, they would still be Aquila, but now they have all this Trill shit. Yeah. Does the house maintain Emperor vote if they get adopted? No, because they're not. The house is gone. It does not exist anymore. They have broken up the house charter, and they don't get. They're not part of the vote anymore, because again, like, only houses get votes, and if your house is dissolved into another faction, the house doesn't exist, ergo you have no vote. If a house adopts a corporate faction with a corporation, people become nobles? No, we've been over this. Do I have plans to detail the emperor vote stuff within a month or two? It's becoming important to these decisions. I mean, it's not going to happen until January in the game, right? So likely it'll just be something simple. Like, everybody has a vote. We all vote. Whoever gets the most vote becomes the emperor. I looked at a bunch of other more complicated systems, but yeah. Vagrants, they're not nobles. If a house is adopted by a corporate faction that allows for nobility, is there a fictional way to maintain noble status even though a house no longer exists? No. Nobles belong to houses. You can't be a noble without a house. If your house dissolves, you're not a noble. Right? Like, there are employees of Prism who are nobles, right? That's possible, but they're still, like, if they were characters in the Discord, right? If I took, say, imagine an NPC that's like, I am a member of House Serpents and I work in the Prism Intelligence Department. They would have to pick. Okay, you get a ticket to one or the other. You can't be both. Yeah. Yeah. Fictionally they can, right? Fictionally it's a little more nebulous, but in terms of, like, players in the game and the way that kind of works, everybody is the thing. Do they get to keep their vote? Yes. Yeah. If in the Trill Aquila example, the Serpent's Death example, where the minor was adopted, but Trill or Deathless dissolve instead, yes, that just makes House Serpents bigger. That's all. It just means they leave and then they get huge. Yeah, merge with a corporate, but have the corporation go away and become the house. Yeah, exactly. So, like, theoretically, like, Acre could adopt, like, Aquila, and then they could merge, keep the nobility of House Aquila, and become massive House Aquila, right? And suddenly, like, this Imperial faction, and then we just get Blood Eagle 2, right? If Trilliant adopted House Lyra, would House Lyra retain its Emperor vote? No. No, they would not. Lyra would dissolve into Trilliant. Individual members could say, I am formerly of House Lyra, but House Lyra would go away. Yeah. Do the church and the major houses any say in these processes? No. Who gets planetary government for the planet? That's all laid out in the text. How will you handle corresponding HP changes to the HM? If their max HP go down, so go with their current HP, because your HP is based on like all your stats added together and all that shit, and then you still have the same amount of damage you took. So I guess theoretically, houses leaving will eventually kill the houses minor. In which case, everybody left will just become their own thing if the houses minor dissolve by way of breakdown. Yeah, it totally is. It's about keeping the titles. Can the houses minor stop a house from leaving? They can ask nicely. I don't know. They can give them reason to stay. Yeah, so you keep the house name, you're still nobles, you still have a vote. If you lose the house name and get adopted into someone else, yeah, your house comes apart. It cannot stand on its own and is divided. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if this happens once, I imagine that the houses minor can stand. So Scout, I don't understand your question. Credit funding by other factions. I don't know what that means. But yeah, the idea here is that the houses minor themselves, no, they don't lose assets. That initial stealing roll, you can get assets you normally wouldn't be able to buy with a 422 stat line or operate. It's like Roman roads in Gaul. You can use them, you can operate them, but you can never build another one. And I think you can't repair them either, repair or refit. Yeah. So anyway, if you have more questions about this, which I'm sure everybody does, you can ask them. You can discuss this in the meta discussion channel if you like, or you can have your representative come to me directly. Velen Ascendancy, if you would like to start talking about your options for the next turn, if you think that you would like to sort of twilight out, or if you want to stick around, or if you're interested in merging with another faction, let's talk about that. As always, talk to your reps. Come to me with that information. And friends who have issue with the deathless, let me know if you want to bust up that base. We'll talk about it, and then I will record that. I'll record that little video. Yeah, so there were some stuff that I hinted at before about like sponsoring a faction or whatever. This is that. There's no new rules coming for this houses minor thing. This is how it works. So anything I might have like suggested or hinted at before does not exist anymore. Now this is it. This is how it works. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I guess. Okay. So Salemus has one last question. If a faction becomes a background NPC faction, can a PC still play a character based in that faction? Yeah. I mean, sure, if they want. Yeah. I don't know. Sure. Cool. Okay. So that's 99.999% of the faction turn. We will finish it off once I have clarified that last action. I will record a little video for you, helping the deathless play out the rest of their turn. Sorry, everybody, for that. I must have sent but not sent a message that I thought I did. So thanks for your patience as always, and thank you for participating. Thank you for all your cool lore and for your hard work. And we will see you, I guess, Wednesday for an episode of Verona, and then next month, I think probably, what day is March 1st? March 1st is a Friday. So yeah, I think probably we'll just do March 1st for the next faction turn. But don't hold me to that until I announce it officially. I'm gonna put this stuff in the faction rulings doc. Thank you everybody for coming. This is it. This is the end of the faction turn. We will see you next time. Hello. Okay, so this is several days after the last thing you just saw or whatever I said, and despite the fact that originally Vagrant wanted to conflict with the Deathless over that base of influence on Demnoff, that is now not happening. there's no conflict. And as we were playing it out, the expand influence action on Demnoff goes through as usual. So let's finish that off for the deathless here. So they were taking the expand influence action, and we were going to take away some of their money. So let's have a look. It looks like, if I give myself a little more room here, there we go. It looks like we've got, on this last turn, I owe you the results of this turn. So all of that's done. Vagrant is no longer opposing. They are going to spend 1 faction credit to buy a 1 hit point base of influence, which I've already played for them. So there it is. There's the deathless base of influence on Demnoff. And let's take away a credit from the richest boys in the universe. Bring them down to 51 credits. There's been some math. Don't worry if this doesn't match up with what you just saw. There have been some transfers since then. But deathless are now at 51, and they have this for me to report. Status report. Operation Silicon Valley, Phase 2 complete. Fizzy Cheese Central, operational. Sector-wide message approved. DCS would like to announce the reopening of the Lower Core Central Outreach Office on Demnoff. Due to the recent upsurge in conflict and profits, DCS has decided to renovate many of its outreach offices with new services. Thus, the Central Outreach Office on Demnoff is now capable of offering concerned corporates and stranded nobles protection and limited medical service within its walls. Thus is completed the Deathless's faction turn, and with it, the entire faction turn for January and February. So we'll be back at the beginning of March to keep it going. Thanks for your patience, everybody. We are now caught up. That is the faction turn.